Hello guys, what's happening? I hope you're doing good and alright. Today, I want to do an episode on it, something that I feel very valuable on dyslexia and ego. And seeing the correlations of what is dyslexia and what is ego and seeing how they interact with each other. And understanding, and I want to have a chat about it, talk about it. And I feel it's quite interesting because once you understand the correlation and once we understand kind of like how ego can play a part in our life and how it does affect the way we view dyslexia, the way we treat dyslexia, the way we treat ourselves, it's really interesting. I hope we enjoy today's episode, guys.
So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast.
So, let's start off. What is ego? What is ego then? What is ego? When we say, it's my ego doing this or it's my ego doing that, it's very simple and it took me a while to understand this. I've always heard the word ego, isn't it? Like growing up, you hear, that's your ego. Or, someone has such big egos, or what's up for your ego, or what's up for his ego. And really, if you come down to the essence of it, everyone has it, and it's not this torturous negative thing that can be shied away from. It's just a thing to notice and a thing to be aware of, and it's natural. It's a natural part of being a human being. All ego is a sense of self, a sense of importance of self. And what I mean by that is saying, okay, this is who I am. This is how things are. This is who I am. This is how things are supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to be treated. This is like you in my qualities, and this is the things that I can do that I'm good at. And it's like basically your interpretation about how things should be amongst yourself. It's like when you're at work and you think things should be done one way, and someone else thinks they should be done another way, and like you think you're right, and like yes, you use logic and reason to say you're right, but the emotions behind it, say if this person said this thing or this person done this thing, your emotions behind it, if you feel angry, annoyed, upset, frustrated, that's the ego part. That's the ego part, and it's about saying things should be this way, but it's not, and therefore your ego gets involved in it. Your ego comes involved and like basically gives you this emotion. No, it's not supposed to be this way, and you start fighting for it. And everyone has ego. Don't care who you are. Don't care if you're a Buddhist monk that's enlightened or whatever. You have ego, and they would be the first ones to tell you I have ego. But they spend every hour of every day working on their ego. And one thing that we can start to notice when we start to understand, so ego is just us thinking about ourselves, about how things should be, about us being right, about like us always being credibility. Another way of saying ego is that being significant, because one very important needs that we have as humans, some people value a lot higher than others, but let alone it's a need. Everyone has to get it at a certain level. Different for everyone is this need to be significant, to feel important, because if we look at the actual what is it to like be human, okay, what we are a load of we're a load of animals with very similar brain, with very similar brain. We'll see these differences now, but compare these differences to the brain of like a monkey or like a dog. We are the same people with the same basic wiring in our brain, the same basic functions with basic animals. You know what I mean? If you have 1,000 dogs together, are they all completely individual, special dogs? No, they're just dogs. Like if you have like a million dogs, like 1,000, a million, they all behave in the same way. Let's look like cows. They can like cows, sheep. Like if you bunch enough of us together, they behave in basically the same way in a very predictable way. Okay, 60% are going to do this, this many are going to do this, this many are going to do this. If you give us the same kind of scenarios. But human beings were very smart, very like unique when it comes to like species. But ultimately, we're the same. Ultimately, we're not special. You know what I mean? Because we're dyslexic, we're different. But we are different, but only like a tiny substrata of what a difference is. Because we're only different because we can see everyone else being the same. You know what I mean? If like everyone was a shade of one color of skin, like exactly the same shade, exactly the same paint, and if one person in the whole 7 billion was a 0.01% off that shade, or like just a tiny little degree off, like a tiny little more brown or a tiny little bit more white or a tiny bit whatever, everyone would notice. But it's not saying that person's not that much different. He's just a little bit different, but because everyone else is the same. So the reason why I'm saying that is that ultimately we're not very special and ultimately we're not very important. That's in the actual fact of life. But we like to feel that important. We like to feel valuable. We like to feel like entitled in a sense, entitled to our own feelings, our emotions. But guess what? Everyone has the same thoughts as you. Everyone has the same emotions as you. Everyone has like roughly the same, like a lot of the same life experiences as you. Now, I'm saying it's like you mean like death in the family, like you mean everyone has heartbreak, everyone has these things that they go through, and it's normal, and it's natural, and this is where like a lot of times the ego can play a big part, saying, look, I'm feeling this, and also like when it comes to dyslexia, ego would play a big part when it comes to us talking about our problems, about feeling unique about them. I'm dyslexic. You don't understand how I feel. Like I'm going for this. You don't understand this, or it does not working for me. It's not me. Now there's times that that's true, because teaching styles are different, learning styles are different. I mean, but when it comes to saying you don't understand how I feel, when we feel like we can feel our ego playing up a lot when it comes to dyslexia, playing up a lot, and it plays up a lot of me, and I need to like really center myself in a sense when it comes to talking about, like, I'm really bad at names. And I know for me, when I say to people, I'm really bad at names, I go, oh, me too, I'm rubbish. I go, no, you're not. But a lot of times it comes like the ego. But the biggest one for me, when I lose things, I can be in a rush to go to work or in a rush to go somewhere, and then have my phone and lose it for half an hour. And literally, like, there's times I would just like be tearing the place apart for it. I would sit down. And I would sit down after exhausted thinking, why is this so hard? And this happened many times. And a lot of times it can be ego. A lot of times when I say ego comes in saying, making me feel special, making me feel unique, making me feel like I deserve to feel like this, I deserve things to be unfair. And it plays up a lot. And one thing I do have to remind myself a lot is thinking, like, well, one thing is that this is just the way life is. There's no other way of doing it, and there's no point of feeling like unfair or feeling that. But the feelings of feeling this is unfair, this is unjust, this shouldn't happen this way, it's all the ego creeping in. Because it makes you feel important at the end of the day. It makes you feel special. And it makes you feel like you're justified in these negative emotions. These negative emotions are natural. It's natural to feel these things. It's natural for us to associate like these feelings towards having these difficulties. But it's a choice to stay there. It's a choice whether or not to stay feeling these negative emotions that's brought up. And how can we? Because what I really want to do is take this step out. Like, so in little scenarios, we get annoyed, we get frustrated when we're at work, when we're doing these things, and that's our ego creeping in. And this person does something to us, or something happens, and we feel really annoyed, and we feel very like negative emotions. And that's our ego. But also take a big step out and look at it from a big like bird's eye view. You're thinking like all the challenge, like the real, like all the suffering that comes from our dyslexia. When I say suffering, it's the negative emotions. It's the, you know what I mean, like crying in class because we can't get it right, you know what I mean? Feeling the emotional hurt when our parents say, oh, like our teacher says, oh, we just need to try a bit harder, focus a bit more. Parents say we're lazy. Having all of this baggage if you actually take a step out and look at it now, like we feel those things, or like we still feel those things ultimately because of ego, because we feel like it should be a different way. And it's not blaming you. It's not being harsh, like saying, like, oh, you shouldn't feel like this. Oh, this is bad. But it's not saying that. It's saying that, look, you're feeling this because of ego, because of a sense of self, and you're feeling this because you think things should be a different way. But the ultimate truth is, it isn't that way. The ultimate truth is that you are the way you are, and if you want to believe it, like, it's what I always say, is that it's our job to find the empowering meaning from it. It's our job. Like, everything happens for a reason, I believe, but it's our job to find that reason. Like, if you just say everything happens for a reason, let's go about it, like, not searching for anything, or not actually putting the work in to find the empowering reason, to find the positive side of it, then it won't be. And that's how I feel. And ultimately, I think that there's a reason I have dyslexia. There's a reason you have dyslexia. But it's our job to find the reason. So things suck, yes, but it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to suck. But what we can do now, you know what I mean? There's no point. It's like, if you stay suffering from it, then you'd always be struggling. And this is ultimately a choice. And we don't get told it's a choice. We get reinforced that struggling is a good thing, that you're allowed to feel like this, you should feel like this, like reinforced by our loved ones, people we care about, saying, oh no, it's so hard. But no one gives us permission to say, look, it's a choice. It's a choice for us to struggle, like to continue to feel this emotional baggage, this emotional thing. So I think steps, like what we can do maybe moving forward, is understanding our ego and saying our ego is a sense of self, and ultimately, like, that can be destructive because it makes us value our negative importance, our negative emotions, and thinking they're justified and feeling them and feel like more like a victim. And maybe moving forward, we can think, okay, yes, feeling these emotions are fine, but staying there is not. I think it's a choice not to stay there, and there's so many tools getting out of it. Our brain's very, very old. We've got the same brain everyone else emotionally. When we feel negative emotions, we feel it. There's a reason why we feel it, that's fine. But also there's a strategy and a system to get out of those negative emotions. And there's hundreds of techniques for that. Try things, do things, move forward. Okay, guys? I'll probably do in the next podcast how we can actually get past those negative emotions moving forward. But anyway, guys, take care, farewell, and bye.